You ever feel like nothing good was ever gonna happen to you? I'm going to hell, T. I crossed over to the other side. My father was in hell, and they said that's where I'd go when it's my time.
I'd follow you into the gates of hell. What you did for me, that fuck who killed my father.
Help me, Daddy. Daddy, help me.
Guy in there killed your father.
You're being set up. He's lying to you, whoever he is.
We got a bond. Very special.
There was a time in my life when being with the Tony Soprano crew was all I ever dreamed of. So what am I doing?
You're my nephew, Christopher.
In my thoughts, I use the technique of positive visualization. How come I always feel undermined?
Maybe he can take another couple of steps out the fucking door so we could have some fun?
That's the only reason you're alive right now. Or anybody else. They would have their fucking intervention right to the back of their head. And over the last couple of months, I started the process of bonding him to me, inseparable.
You fucking pushed me to this! You pushed me to this!
I'll give you stories make your fucking head curl.
He's an enabler too, this guy. The worst fucking kind.
Pop this in that basket for me, will you?
Pours you a drink with one hand, judges you with the other if you take it.
The shit I see? Fuck that, the shit I did, person.
I'm pouring my heart out, man.
Chris, you're in the mafia. I gave that fuck pieces of my soul, Adriana. You know what he said to me? He said I should have a fucking drink.
If you're not here, I'm gonna assume that you went to look for whatever the fuck it is that's calling you out there. And that I will never see you again.
I can't do it, no. No, please don't make me do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
If you are still here, then I'm gonna assume that you got no other desire in the world but to be with me. And your actions will show me that every fucking second of every fucking day. And a weak, fucking, sniveling, lying drug addict? That's the worst kind of bet.
You have any idea if I wanted what I could do to these pricks?
Let me tell you something. I've murdered friends before.
But I can promise you, I'd have more money in my pocket, plus more responsibility if I sat with him drinking, watching that scotch drool out of his fat fucking mouth.
That's the guy, Adriana. My Uncle Tony. The guy I'm going to hell for.
Hi, my name is Darius and welcome to my channel. Lately I've been binge watching the entirety of The Sopranos show for the second and third time, and oh my god, it's been such a fun experience. Like, honestly speaking, I have no idea how a person can come up with the dialogue that exists in this show. This shit is like poetry, it rhymes.
You were sucking his cock! Georgie told me everything! The sergeant on the operating table said you uploaded Tony's name! What are you talking about?
But one of the many things that make this show so good, other than the brilliantly written dialogue, is that the show provides a beautiful, well thought out and well put together analysis, both psychological and sociological, on the Italian-American mafia lifestyle of its characters.
Now, I'll tell you what it is. It's anti-Italian discrimination.
Like, we don't just see how shitty a character is, we also get to see why they are so shitty. The show provides both psychological and sociological answers to those questions.
Stick it in your ass.
And today we'll be talking about one of the most well-written characters of the entire show, Christopher Moltisanti. And I'll be understanding his personality through his relationship with two other characters, Adriana and Tony Soprano, since you can't really fully grasp his entire personality without these two characters, so I'll be talking about them too. And spoilers ahead if you haven't watched the show. I think we all as the audience can agree on the fact that the biggest thing that impacted Christopher's life was the fact that he grew up without a father. His father was shot and killed by a cop when he was a little baby, so unlike Tony, he actually never got to meet and know his father on a personal level. And his mother always had substance abuse issues, so she couldn't even play the role of a parent very well. So when Tony had his father to look up to as a role model, Christopher never had that. And the only thing that he did know about his father was through what other people told him, people like Tony. And Tony would always describe Christopher's father as this larger-than-life, one of the most well-respected, one of the most meanest, toughest, baddest people in the entire family, a personal hero of Tony. And he would always talk about Christopher's father in a way that it's a sad thing that you never actually got to meet your father. Oh, he was such a great guy. He was so terrific. It's a shame that you never actually got to meet him personally. It's a sad thing that you grew up without a father.
You know, your father was like a mentor to me. Your old man was a legend. He single-handed hunted down our New England crew, brought the war home to them up there.
And all that talking that Tony did was to create a deep desire within Christopher, a desperate need for a role model, a person who he can please, a person who he can receive respect and love from, something that Tony did have, but Christopher never did. This desperate need for Christopher to have a role model shows itself the best when it comes to his loyalty to Tony.
I'd follow you into the gates of hell. What you did for me, that fuck who killed my father.
And his desperation to prove himself to him. The reason that Christopher is so desperate to prove himself to Tony is that he sees Tony as an authority figure. He sees Tony as that role model. So in a way, Christopher sees Tony as a way to satiate his needs. He will do whatever he can to please Tony and to receive affection, love, and respect from him because that's the closest thing he ever had to a role model. And who planted that need from the very beginning? It was Tony.
And over the last couple of months, I started the process of bonding him to me inseparably. Motherfucker.
Tony, come on! Listen to somebody else for a change.
Fuck him.
Whether it was intentional or not, Tony was the person who planted that need inside of Christopher. But what would be the reason for Tony to subconsciously manipulate Christopher's emotions in this way? Well, the short answer is that Tony has his own needs that he needs to satiate. You see, one of the main ways that Tony describes his relationship with Christopher is that he always sees him as a son, that he loves Christopher like a son.
You always talk about him more like a son.
In some ways he was, especially after his dad died. He was little, I used to give him rides.
The thing is that Tony already has a son, AJ.
I don't want to go there.
You need toughening up.
Tony.
Well, yes, AJ is Tony's son, but there's a little problem. AJ is a little bitch.
My son has panic attacks.
You see, Tony absolutely loves AJ, but one of the many issues that Tony has with him is that AJ really doesn't fit the role that Tony wants.
Before we end, is there anything you'd like to discuss?
How about the fact that I hate my son?
You tell me, what is the issue?
He's a fag.
The thing is that there's a conflict within Tony.
I'm supposed to get a vasectomy when this is my male heir? Look at him.
At the one hand, he doesn't want AJ to get involved in the criminal affairs. He does want AJ to live an innocent, crime-free kind of life, but he does need someone who can play that role. Someone who he can share his crime lifestyle with, who can know his secrets and do his bidding. Exactly how Christopher was in desperate need of a role model, Tony is in desperate need of a son figure. Tony sees himself as a general.
How about that? How about that?
And a general needs a perfect soldier, someone who can take orders from him without ever asking questions and just do his bidding.
You're going to take this family into the 21st century.
We're already in the 21st century, don't they?
Someone who is, and this is very important, safe and reliable. Pretty much like a tool. And Tony is using Christopher to fulfill his own need of a perfect soldier, but to be reliable, to be consistent, to lift some weight off of Tony's shoulders. So from the very beginning, whether Tony is doing it consciously or subconsciously, he is molding and manipulating Christopher's emotions in order to turn him into his perfect soldier.
About that prick's face when he saw the gat.
So on paper, these two characters should work very well together because their interests are complementary to each other. Christopher wants a role model, Tony can play that role. Tony wants a son figure, Christopher can play that role. On paper, there shouldn't be any issues. So then what's the issue? It's Tony. It's always Tony. In fact, you can easily say that 90% of the problems from the show stem from Tony himself. Because more than having a son figure, Tony has a deeper need. A desperate need to dominate and control. Tony always has to be the alpha male in the room. You can never compete with him. If Tony catches you improving your life, slightly making your life better and making yourself a better person, he will easily be petty about it and just shit all over your life. Seriously, he will become instantly jealous and just fuck you up. He does this with literally every character in the show. Seriously, everyone. He does this to Janice, he does this to Carmilla.
I wonder what's French Canadian for. I grew up without a mother. Sacre bleu, where is me like this, you're a shitty businesswoman who built a piece of shit house that's gonna cave in and kill that fucking unborn baby any day.
The only exception to the rule are his kids, and frankly, Artie Bucco, because he actually never does that shit with him. Another way to put it is that you can only improve into the extent that is to benefit of Tony himself. You can never try to become independent from Tony. Now, in regards to Christopher, this is very important because Tony wants a soldier. Not necessarily a successor. In fact, not at all. He wants a person to just take orders from him, to do his bidding. He wants subservience, not rebelliousness, and never a potential competition. Even though that Christopher wants to prove himself to Tony, he doesn't want to be his slave. He wants to be his own guy, a well-respected person amongst his peers. He wants to be his own man, call his own shots, and make his own decisions.
If I were a carpenter and you were a douchebag.
Because deep down, he wants to have the kind of life that Tony and Carmilla have. A mansion, money, wealth, status, family, respect, and power. And here's the thing, Christopher doesn't think of his needs as being in conflict because they're not. They're only in conflict with Tony's interests. Tony wants Christopher to do well, he says that, but in action, he's always breaking his balls. He's always undermining him, he's always second-guessing him, and he's not showing him the ropes the way that he's ought to. He's not really mentoring him, he's just ordering and bossing him around.
Sobriety's hard enough work without having to get mocked for it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why don't you have a fucking drink, will you? Because you're driving everybody crazy with this shit.
And the hope is that you pass that shit down, the respect and the love. People who don't clean up after their pets. Pop this in that basket for me, will you? All I am to him is some asshole bully. She's a knockout. A 10. And look at you. You're average at best. And all I did for this fucking kid, and he fucking hates me so much. Motherfucker.
Tony, come on. Listen to somebody else for a change.
Fuck him. I think he fucking despises me. It's pretty obvious. Wants to see me dead.
Like when Christopher says that it's always give, give, give when it comes to Tony, he's not wrong. Like, let's be frank, Tony's always taking from him without giving him anything. To be honest, it's kind of like the same dynamic between Junior and Tony.
All I know is you never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
Oh, son of a bitch! What? Did I just tell you not to say that again? Say what?
Junior's always undermining Tony, making fun of him, breaking his balls. Tony's doing the same thing to Christopher subconsciously and never giving him credit for anything. But it's not like Christopher has zero problems on his own and everything is to be blamed on Tony. Not at all.
You were sucking his cock!
Christopher has a shit ton of problems that he himself causes and gets away of his own success.
You piece of fucking shit!
Oh! So I went with that skank when I got you.
You were saying she had a nice ass.
I was trying to say something positive because she's your friend.
Most of it coming from the fact that he's fairly young and inexperienced and he doesn't know how the full scale and picture of the whole mafia business thing goes on. So whenever he does make a decision, he makes a lot of mistakes.
Have you thought about this? Maybe you let him keep Lorraine, and you take a bigger piece of his Florida shit, the club.
You know, it wasn't long ago I remember you used to wait in the car. And as far as I'm concerned, you should still be there.
I'm sorry, T. I thought I was.
I don't hit to a $250 million job? Think, Christopher, think. The big fucking picture, huh?
Christopher is in no shape or form aware of the shit that he does and how it affects other people, especially Adriana, and we'll get to Adriana. Tony, at the very least, when he decided to go to therapy, he started learning to look inward, but Christopher never does that. He's always looking externally. Actually, one of the biggest problems that Christopher has is that he never takes agency and responsibility for his own mistakes. He's always blaming it on Tony. Even though that Christopher wants agency, he's never actually taking it. Whatever mistakes he makes, he always places the blame on Tony, which he's not wrong, but who's going to take that responsibility for you? Like, Tony, you have to take it.
About some victims group, the fundamentalist Christians, the abused cowboys, the gays, whatever the fuck. He was gay, Gary Cooper? No! Are you listening to me?
You can always see this conflict within Christopher. Whenever he's trying to branch out and do his own thing when it comes to cinema or writing, there's always that lack of confidence, that feeling of insecurity that was planted and manifested by Tony.
You ever feel like nothing good was ever gonna happen to you?
Which explains why he's always so paranoid and thinking that something bad is about to happen to him. It's because he never had that support from him. So we have established so far that even though the two characters share the same interests and could basically use each other to fulfill their needs, they're still at conflict. Because a part of Christopher wants to be his own man and be independent, and Tony, on the other hand, always wants to keep Christopher to himself to be his perfect soldier. And this is where we talk about Christopher and Adriana.
You were sucking his cock! Dodgy told me everything! The sergeant on the operating table said you emoted Tony's name! What are you talking about?
There are a couple of things that I think we, as the audience of the show, can agree on. For example, I think we all can agree that Adriana is the most tragic character in the entire show. Like, honestly, some of the worst things happen to her and she never receives justice for any of it.
A friend of mine gave me the name of a specialist in Manhattan.
You knew you were damaged goods and you never fucking told me?
And she never does anything bad. Like, the only crime, I guess you could say, that she committed was being stupid and naive, but like, come on, like, we all know that she's ultimately the victim in all this. In regards to Christopher's and Adriana's relationship, I think we all can agree that even though that the relationship was like hella abusive and not healthy, the two of them did love each other.
I like you as an actor.
This is Jericho, cell leader of the SOS.
Why? They're still gonna kiss your ass. They don't care if you're junkie.
They're all yours, baby.
Recovery?
You put me on mailing list for junkies? No! Huh? You're gonna be the owner-manager. You book the bands, you find the talent, whatever you want to do. It's yours.
And the way that Christopher showed his love to Adriana was through providing her with material things. Fancy shoes, giving her money to run a whole music production business, even though that didn't last that long. He did give Adriana a whole club to run, which is kind of, you know, in respect to Christopher himself, is kind of neat, you know? What I'm trying to say is that even though that the relationship was incredibly fucked up from the beginning...
You just don't want to believe that I could have a relationship with a man like Massive that wasn't based on fucking. I branched out, made new friends, new horizons, and you can't stand that!
The two of them did love each other, especially Adriana. She did love Christopher, knowing fully well who he was. And Christopher, in his own way, even though that it was toxic plenty of times, still loved Adriana. That explains why he gave her a whole club to run. The relationship was improving until the FBI got involved. And then shit started to get really bad, because when Adriana has no other choice but to come clean to Christopher and tell him, I've been working with the feds, the whole thing kind of takes a dark turn, and Christopher has to make a very hard decision. Does he want to run away and break free from Tony and live that life with Adriana, the only person who loves and cares for him? Or is he going to stay and remain loyal to Tony and to fulfill his need of a role model? That whole episode is incredibly difficult to watch. Personally, it fucks me up every time I watch it. Other than the physical aspect of the episode, when Adriana is trying to explain to Christopher what information he did provide to the FBI, Christopher's not even listening. Like, he's just full on panic mode. He's not listening to what Adriana is saying because Adriana doesn't have that much information to give to the FBI. She literally has nothing, but Christopher's not hearing her out. Like, Christopher's just straight up not listening to her. And in the beginning, he wants to break free from Tony. He wants to run away with Adriana, to live that free life with Adriana, to have agency, to have independence. But then when he starts thinking more about it, his insecurity starts to grow. That insecurity and lack of confidence that Tony placed inside of him. Christopher cannot imagine a life free from Tony, free from that lifestyle. In this respect, Christopher is Tony's victim. And this is the exact moment that Christopher victimizes Adriana. He gives Adriana to Tony, and that whole thing happens. So yeah, it's very fucked up. It's also amazingly written. This episode was easily one of the darkest episodes of the entire show, and honestly, every time that I watch it, it just fucks me up. That's all I can say. This is why I title the video the way that it is, because even though that Christopher is Tony's victim, Adriana is Christopher's victim. Hurt people hurt people. It's fucked up, but it's also beautifully written.
You were sucking his cock!
Again, the biggest problem that Christopher had was that he could never own up to the things that he did, to have responsibility for his own actions, to actually have agency, even though that he desperately wanted that. He wanted to become his own man, but at the last second, in his most biggest important moment, he gave in to the pressure and he came back to Tony. And he sacrificed the most important thing he had. Instead of looking inward to find his answers, his solutions, he always blamed other people, which he wasn't wrong, but that ultimately led him to not take agency over his own actions. And he would always exert all of that anger and frustration to the people around him, his biggest victim being Adriana herself. And that led to him making the biggest mistake of his life. This entire dynamic and situation, it's so brilliantly written, and it's just straight up borderline tragic. Christopher doesn't have the confidence to imagine a life without Tony and the mafia lifestyle because of Tony. After this episode with Adriana, the saddest episode with Christopher is the one where he has a beef with Paulie, like the many times he already had.
I guess you could call that a dick.
After Adriana, the one and only thing that Christopher has is his ability and his will to try to keep himself sober and substance-free. Like his parents, he's been having a lot of substance abuse issues.
Let's be honest about the great Dickie Moltisanti. My dad, your hero, wasn't much more than a fucking junkie.
And everybody been trying to encourage him to become sober.
Maybe someone smack some goddamn sense into him! Right, my own mother. Fuck you, you fucking whore.
But then when he is sober, when he actually does achieve his goal, he's no more in the cool kids club.
You've been like a ghost lately. You're around 1 second, next thing you're gone.
Truth is, between the booze and the strippers over there, half of them are fucking cokehead. And Satrial's, that fridge full of beer.
He cannot hang out by the Bada Bing because everybody's always teasing him with the drinks and the drugs. And whenever other people say, why have you been growing more distant over the past months? And he says, it's because I'm trying to be sober. I'm trying to fight the disease. They don't hear him out.
They broke into the guy's store, T.
Go have a lime Ricky or whatever the fuck it is you're drinking these days, and we'll be done in a few minutes.
The reality is, he resents my sobriety.
They're all on board for the intervention, but skip one golf outing and you're ostracized.
And he has this beef with Paulie. They take care of the beef, no more problems. But Christopher tries to become more intimate with the group. So what does he do? He sacrifices the last thing he has, his sobriety. And he orders a drink. And he gets drunk, and he tries to have a conversation with Paulie and everyone. But then...
How the fuck do I put myself up for adoption?
What?
Nothing, go ahead.
My point, what the fuck? You realize by the time Caitlin's out of college, it'll be like the year 2027 or something?
She takes after you. She won't be out of 4th grade by then. Of course, by that time, she'll be working here, so who gives a shit?
That's when he realizes everyone is making fun of him like they never took him seriously, and he is all alone. And he has nothing. Nothing. Let me just say the fact that we all, as the audience, know how bad of a person Christopher is. Like, put aside all the crime and murder, we all can agree that Christopher is a very awful and bad person.
What do you gotta say now? Don't they have medicine they're supposed to take, these assholes? I don't know. I'm pouring my heart out, man, and I'm very sorry, but we met in AA. Chris, you're in the mafia. You want me to use you, bitch? You're fucking killing me. No, I don't. I love you.
And these emotions that we have towards him, this sadness, this feeling of pity, they're not wrong. They are a reflection of his reality, and they do not excuse the awful shit that he has done to other people. Like I said, hurt people. And at the end, after all the things that he done, after all the sacrifices that he made to please Tony just throws him away because he doesn't see him as a reliable tool. When Tony kills Christopher in the end, and you look in his eyes, you see nothing but disappointment and just straight up hatred inside. Tony actually feels zero remorse for killing Christopher.
I haven't been able to tell anybody this, but I'm fucking relieved. And a weak, fucking, sniveling, lying drug addict? That's the worst kind of bet.
10 out of 10 writing, 10 out of 10 gut-wrenching, fucking fucked up. And in regards to Christopher and his arc, I think he was one of the highlights of the show and one of the many things that make this show so great. And I loved how it began. I hated how it ended. But still, I loved every moment of it. Scene.
Unfreaking believable. Great job, Chris.
Everything's gonna be all right from here on in. Come on. Look, it's a beautiful day. What could be bad?